Before the thorns taught me their sharp lessons, and bled weakness from me. I had but one brother, and I loved him well. But those days are gone, and what is left of them lies in my mother's tomb. Now I have many brothers, quick with knife and sword, and as evil as you please. We ride this broken empire and loot its corpse. They say these are violent times, the end of days, when the dead roam and monsters haunt the night. All that's true enough, but there's something worse out there, in the dark, much worse. From being a privileged royal child, raised by a loving mother, Jorg Ancrath has become the Prince of Thorns, a charming, immoral boy leading a grim band of outlaws in a series of raids and atrocities. The world is in chaos. Violence is rife. Nightmares everywhere. Jorg has the ability to master the living and the dead, but there is one thing that puts chill in him. Returning to his father's castle, Jorg must confront horrors from his childhood and carve himself a future all hands turned against him. Mark Lawrence's debut novel tells a tale of blood, treachery, magic, and brotherhood. It paints a compelling and brutal and sometimes beautiful picture of an exceptional boy on his journey towards manhood and the throne. You're watching Storybound. Let's dive into Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. As stated, immediately thrust into Jorg's world as he raises a town, murdering and encouraging the rape and burning of that very small town. The icing on the cake here is that we learn this particular asshole in question is a 13-year-old boy just turning 14. He is also the head of an organization making their way across the countryside, trying to avoid the guard. We learn about his heritage as a prince, his backstory, as well as his mother and brother being assassinated, and how he had to watch them get split open. This is the inciting event that puts him on his quest for revenge, hardening him. I won't get into too many spoilers. However, this is a pretty standard revenge story. However, it takes you through the point of view and the reality of a brutal revenge story. It drags you through the piss and shit, the evil that one must face, the decisions you make along the way, and the people you're willing to run a sharp blade through, or what cities and countrysides you're willing to burn to the ground to accomplish your goal. This story is also about building a crew, leading with fear, trust, and honoring your word, following through and making a name for yourself. I've heard of this book being problematic in how it refers to black people, fat people, and women. I think I fall on a spot where I get people are coming from in terms of what is written in the page. However, I believe you're supposed to hate what this character represents. You maybe respect his power, his motivation, his strength as a youth, but I would like to believe that you would feel, at least mostly, put off by what is needed to be done to accomplish his goals. What Jorg needs and what he sacrifices to reach the end of these chapters. You can see what his heritage and the life he has led has done to him. Although his crew isn't completely fleshed out, we know they trust him. We know regardless of his age or what has become, they have an understanding among them and a binding fact they are all criminals. We don't get a ton of detail on what type of criminals his group consists of. However, based on the events of the story, I can't imagine they were innocent of those crimes. What I did enjoy with this novel is a bleak feeling it gave me. This is not a happy story. It is grim and dark. It will walk you through the affecting and nurturing of a child in his formative years, becoming a monstrous child of war. This series contains some solid battles and some light magic use. There is a particular scene with cannibalization I found to be particularly interesting, that I think will have some major effects, how the series progresses, turning it into something a bit more broad in its implications versus a straight up revenge tale. There's also a fairly big reveal in this novel in terms of its setting that was a pretty big shock to me. I wasn't expecting it at all, and I hope we get some payoff for it. That being said, Jorg of Angrath, the Prince of Thorns, was a pretty solid tale that hits hard right off the bat, gets a little muddled nearing the end, and then reclaims its stride and strong pacing within the last few chapters to be something pretty special. If you're willing to let yourself take away a bit in introspection and enjoy books that don't always leave you feeling good about yourself in the end, or are just a sucker for punishment, or a lover of grimdark, this seems like a pretty good start. Let me know what you thought about Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a good one.